Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. Hope everybody's having a wonderful start to your Tuesday, as we're going to have a lot of things to discuss today. Not only are we going to get to what to watch, presented by Bryant Technologies, but we'll also get into a little bit of the college football action that happened last night with the national championship game. We'll discuss a little bit of that, get to an SEC update presented by Rhoback. We'll buy or sell action presented by Bet Saracen. And, of course, get to your phone calls and your chats. You can get in the chat very easily, but you can also call in at 478-344-6623. So, fellas, it's Tuesday. How we feeling? How's the vibes? It's cold outside. It's ridiculously cold outside, but it's, I don't know. I was going to make some sort of stupid pun, but I'm just going to give up on it. How we doing?
Hanging in there, man. Just hanging in there. A little bit of cabin fever. It's too cold to get outside and do anything, but, you know, just another day in paradise.
Survive in advance. That's the mode we're in, and we're surviving and making it to the next day each time. And so I actually, for some reason, panicked and woke up this morning and was like, holy cow, Arkansas plays today. They do not play today. For some reason, I don't know why I had it in my brain. Like, I woke up and I was like, holy crap, they're playing today. They are not. But
nope.
And maybe that's a good thing. I don't know, but we're making it through.
Save that pit of doom in your stomach until tomorrow, buddy.
Yeah. It's, I guess, 8 o'clock tomorrow night? Bud Walton
Yeah.
Arena?
Late one. I love it.
Mm-hmm. I know we'll talk a lot about that tomorrow on Inside Arkansas Live before we get going, but there'll be plenty to discuss there. But, it's just amazing. I know we'll play a couple clips because Chin Coleman, who everybody wants to hear from, met with the media today, and we'll have a little clip kind of talking about this in the discussion. But we brought up yesterday of how so many people, of course, are coming out against John Calipari, and it has been that way, that reveling in the failures that he has right now. And, of course, one of them being Jeff Goodman, very much so, laying the wood yesterday. Made some valid points, and other ones maybe not so much. But I was just curious, and I wanted you guys' thoughts, because we talk about, the actual game, the team, the players. I know Pot at the Palace, you break it down, Curtis, each and every day of what's going on, what's wrong, everything, or at least try to make sense out of it. But the hatred and the vitriol that John Calipari is receiving is at an all-time high. I mean, some of it's legit criticism. Other parts of it is just seems like it's vendetta and some sort of narrative, or at least an agenda. But do you guys feel like it's justified, the hatred, the vitriol that John Calipari is receiving right now, not only just from Kentucky fans, but media, other fans, everybody else in general?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, he's always been such a lightning rod, just a polarizing guy for that type of stuff. Heck, when he's been at Kentucky the last 15 years, we were giving him the business, pretty relentlessly too. That's just kind of always been a thing, I guess, with him. So from that standpoint, this is nothing new. It's just the one of the first times he's had struggles like this that's so magnified. And then you take into account the job change and everything. I guess I'm not super surprised by it, but make no mistake that there's a difference in that and then some of what is very vendetta and agenda driven out there. Now, saw a lot of people in the chat talking about it yesterday, like, whatever personal situation there was with him and Jeff Goodman, or whatever he tried to do to Matt Jones over at KSR or whatever. Like, hey, I have no idea about the details of that. I'm not going to speak on it other than if there's something to that, maybe that explains some of what's going on there. But a lot of it I do feel like is probably overboard, or maybe I'm just worn out from having to hear about it and discuss it and talk about it so much. But it's not new that John Calipari is a villain in this game.
Yeah, I definitely can't speak to any personal things that Calipari has going on in his life. Like, I don't know if he's wronged a cousin or two, or maybe wronged Matt Jones, maybe wronged Jeff Goodman. Again, like, it's just not something we can speak on. But yeah, I would say aggressively no to should anybody be like having real hatred for Calipari. And my reason for that is, if you're a national media guy outside of Jeff Goodman, who clearly has a personal thing with him, if you're a national media guy, Calipari should be like a guy you respect and love, because he's the most polarizing figure in the sport. As we know, anything you put out with Calipari is automatic views, automatic clicks, automatic everything. So I would imagine there should be a lot of people who kind of admire him in that regard. If you're a Kentucky fan, Obviously, the last few years of Kentucky rubbed people the wrong way, and the way that it seemed like that thing went downhill, like, of course, that rubbed people the wrong way. But then, like, he left, so it's like, why would you have any hatred for him? Especially because, like, now that he's left, you could be able to look back and be like, all right, it was a good era, ended the way we didn't want it to, but it was a good time, got a national championship out of it, bunch of draft picks, cool. Like, I don't know if Kentucky fans should necessarily feel that hatred, and Arkansas fans should absolutely be disappointed and annoyed, and they should be holding Cal responsible for what is going on with this team. But in terms of hatred, I think for it to be hatred, it would need to be a premeditated, like a sadistic plan, like with malicious intent coming from Cal. And I don't feel like that's what happened here. What I feel like happened, if we just go all the way back to when he got hired, he had no intention of coming to Arkansas. Like, he was kind of sold on it by John Tyson, by Hunter Yurchek, and they're like, hey, you got to meet with the AD. Oh, the AD, why don't you just take the job? And so I think there were most people that if they were about to get fired from their very lucrative job and had a ridiculous amount of money and security and safety thrown at them, I have a hard time believing anybody would pass up on that. So it's like, I guess you could hate him for taking the Arkansas job and not giving it his all, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like most people would do that in that situation, especially as they're kind of getting phased out of another place. And so ultimately, it's like, do you really hate Cal for that? I get being disappointed. I get being frustrated, and I want to hold him responsible for that. But I don't know if hatred is necessarily where I'd go. And so I'm kind of with you guys, where I don't really see why there's so much like vitriol and animosity seeming in this situation coming from all angles.
Well, I know that in media, at least, and you guys understand this too, there is an absolute obsession with being right, because it's one thing when you just write a story or if you talk about a game and everything, but when you start going out with your opinions on stuff and start really hammering points home, you're going to get some pushback. You're going to get it right. You're going to get it wrong. But whenever media, and when I say media, I'm talking about like national media, people who have very large egos and really find themselves in a spot where, hey, I want to be right, and they feel justified in an opinion that they had to where they feel right, they're going to spike the ball. They're going to flex on that. They are going to hammer that home, and they don't really care about the consequence of it all or what's being said about a particular individual or team or anything. It's just like, see, I was right. This is why you should listen to me and not listen to anybody else. And so with Cal, I think that because of the story that it took this world by storm, we were all there. Like, it was everywhere. They didn't even care about the national championship in college basketball. It was just Cal going to Arkansas. It was such a huge story that everyone was saying how great it was for Arkansas, how great it is for Cal. This could rejuvenate things. Everything's positive about it. And that there were some people that had some pushback because they're like, well, this may not work out, or, hey, this is not going to work out, or, hey, I think he's been cooked for a while, or whatever it is. And then it's not. And then they're feeling like, oh, see, I try to tell everybody, you listen to Seth Greenberg over there on ESPN, but I'm the one that knows ball. I just think that that's what's added to it, is that people love being right. And then they feel right about such a big story that they want to make sure that everyone knows about it. And with that comes a little bit of angst and animosity towards somebody.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. It's just, and it's not new. I mean, I was listening to Goodman and all kinds of folks over the last few years have these same discussions. Every time Kentucky would lose a game, it's like, man, this is outdated. Has he lost it? Like, what's going on here? A lot of people were calling for him to step down at the end of last season after that Oakland game, and so like that particular narrative of like the game is passing by or whatever, that was already in place. And then, it was just like a momentary pause to see, all right, does this Arkansas move? Is it really gonna like rejuvenate the career here? And then at the first sign of fracture, it's like, nope, we're back, and then it's just a full on flood of it now. So it's disappointing, as for Razorback fans, because you just don't feel like being the butt of the joke. Like, nobody likes to be kicked in the nuts a million times in a row. And I don't know that Razorback fans deserve it. But that's where you're at right now dealing with this. And I've heard a lot of people too, in fairness, Razorback fans who've been like, yeah, it's kind of been a weird adjustment, going from, Calipari being one of the guys that we dislike the most in this league on an annual basis to, oh, he's our guy now. And some people haven't been able to make that adjustment because they felt so strongly about it while he was at Kentucky. So I keep going back to him being such a lightning rod his entire career for the polarizing takes. He's just always been the villain. And it's just no different now.
Yeah, I think he's always going to kind of have that polarizing feel to him. And really, it's kind of a testament to just where we're at in society, where everything has to be one extreme or the other. Because I think about it with my own personal self, like, and I see this comment here that says, you all hated Cal for 12 years, which, like, of course, we've kind of referenced this a lot. Nobody, Hog fans didn't like Cal. I can't speak for the rest of Razorback fans because I'm sure there's a lot that really did truly hate him. But I'll ask you guys, like, did y'all truly hate John Calipari? I know obviously Kentucky's a huge rival and, you're part of the rivalry. You'll do the bits, but personally with him, like, did you have hatred for who he was?
I did.
So what was your deal? Just because he was at Kentucky or what?
Well, it was just, I didn't like him when he was at Memphis. And it goes back to when, because I grew up a Razorback fan and, I was just like every Razorback fan. I'm very protective of my Razorbacks. And when Stan Heath came to Arkansas and Arkansas and Memphis played each other every year, and Cal comes out when he's a fairly new coach at Memphis, and Stan Heath's first year, they weren't any good. And Memphis beat the brakes off of Arkansas. He's like, hey, we're not playing Arkansas anymore because we're only going to focus on nationally relevant programs. It's like, I hate that. And I hated him for it. And it built from that. And then he goes to Kentucky and, he steals a lot of the in-state kids from Arkansas that you really wanted. And everyone's talking about him. And he's such a politician. There was just so many things that I really hated about him. But once he became the coach here, you got to see a little bit of him and you soften it. It's the same thing I've said many times with Eric Musselman when he was here. I love Eric Musselman. He's still my guy. I love that guy. Love that man. But if he wasn't in Arkansas, I would despise that dude. I would hate that dude. So it's being honest of when he's your guy, he's your guy. But when he's not, you hate him. So I know not everybody felt that way about Cal, but I can say with full confidence that yes, I was one of those that absolutely hated that man.
And I'm sure there's a lot of Razorback fans who feel that way. Like, I get that whole context of it. I guess for me, it all comes down to, like, I understand the disdain and I understand the rivalry aspect of you're just never going to like the coach of your rival or whatever. And I even get why there's a lot of national media folks that are calling Cal archaic. And like you said, Curtis, that narrative's been going around for a while of the game passing him by. But it just feels very personal, where it's like a true, like, as if like he did something, like, because Jeff Goodman, I think it very clearly is personal. And so I guess to me, like, I've always enjoyed the like banter, but I've never like had a real like actual hatred for the man. But that's the kind of the way, maybe I just like villains a lot too. And so maybe I just kind of find myself like admiring, like, I never hated Nick Saban. I never had any reason to hate Nick Saban. I always respected what he did at Alabama. So maybe I'm just on my own here, but it does feel a little weird where it's like now it's everyone's kind of piling on and it feels very, very personal.
Well, I also think too that time changes things because there's people I've hated. I hated Tom Brady forever as a Jets fan, as a Blue Jets fan. But it's like as time went on, I grew to appreciate him and the greatness that it was. I hated Kobe Bryant at the very beginning. I hated him, but as time goes on, you kind of just you adjust and you change and you see a lot more of them and things change about that. So I think that there are people that have changed and it's just from yesterday with that Jeff Goodman article talking about, hey, the pieces don't fit, can't adapt, he's outdated, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'll tell you what, let's play this from Chin Coleman, who met with the media today. And he was asked about this particular article that was written. And Chin Coleman had this response.
Jeff Goodman had a story talking about the program. And some anonymous coach referenced Cal as archaic. And I'm wondering if you guys have seen that and have any reaction.
No reaction to it. Absolutely, definitely not true. He's one of the most innovative coaches to ever coach. So to say that he's archaic is so you're fishing, in my opinion. But everybody's entitled to their opinion. I'm blessed to work for a Hall of Fame coach, the best coach in the business, and so I don't have any social media, so I don't read any of that stuff. Don't know any of that world. I just know how great Coach Cal is and how much he cares about these players. And I know we're in a little bit of a bad patch right now, but we're going to try our hardest to get out of it. and we got the best man for it.
So there you have it. Chin Coleman defending John Calipari and the allegations, at least, that he's archaic, outdated, and still doesn't have it in order to coach.
Yeah. And like, I mean, what did anyone who is freaking out in the chat expect Chin Coleman to say up there about that? I mean, that's the line he has to run, whether he believes it or not. But he is one of the more innovative coaches to ever do it. That doesn't mean that's the case right here in the present, right? I mean, he was at the forefront of a lot of things that nobody else was doing. That's just not the case now. So, you know, if we want to get into the semantics, just like everybody has a different definition of hatred. And I think it might mean a little bit, something a little bit different to me than it does John, for example. Like, I don't hate Tom Brady, but I know what you're saying. You know what I mean? So everybody looks at that a little bit differently, but it is what it is. I don't know that he could have said anything different, but it's still a little bit damning to have some of these things come out from your peers. Like, it's one thing for, you know, reporters or talking heads or fans or whatever. And these are all anonymous quotes, which irritates me, but I get it. Like, people can't go on record saying this, but I'm just going to go through here real quick and read some of the other quotes that came from this story. And they're short and sweet, but I mean, there's a lot of, you know, pretty harsh things being said here. The first one, they have a ton of individual talent. One SEC coach told Goodman, but none of their pieces fit. None of them. I think we can agree with that. Another SEC coach said, I don't think Calipari and his staff can adapt. Talking about Chin Coleman specifically and Chuck Martin and Kenny Payne, they all do the same thing. They don't have anyone innovative. They're outdated in how they do things. So, like, I mean, they're throwing shots at Cal. They're throwing shots at the staff, talking about John L. Davis. He doesn't play freely at all under Calipari. He doesn't know where his shots are. He looks skittish and lost. We could probably agree with that, but it's coming from your peers, from people who are preparing from you, people who are playing you. And then the last one that really stuck with me was allegedly from an SEC head coach. There's just no fear when I see Cal on the other sideline. The game has changed and he is becoming archaic.
Yeah, it's
that's harsh, man.
It's rough.
It's harsh, but it's like, it's also kind of hard to really push back. It's hard for any of us Hog fans or anyone to really be like, wait a minute, no, that's too far. Because I feel like a lot of Hog fans have been saying similar things for a while. But yeah, it is pretty eye-opening to hear, like you said, other coaches. Because look, it's one thing if it's just Jeff Goodman or if it's just, you know, see these guys on a podcast or whatever, but like, having the coaches come out there is a big deal. And even if they're doing it anonymously, but going back to the innovation aspect of this, a lot of times when we're talking about Cal being on the forefront of all this, it's about roster construction and, you know, talent accumulation. Like, that was really like, he kind of set the stage for this new era we live in, where you could really have all these all-star teams and you can get talent in all these different ways possible. That was always the premise. Like, that was always what Calipari was doing at the highest level, and nobody was really able to compete with him. And so I think even if Cal was running, you know, an offense that was with the times, there would still likely be an adjustment period, just because now other teams have the means to go out there and get equal talent. And I feel like you could kind of see this even before NIL. You could kind of see this coming when Coach K, his final years, started really getting those top classes, started getting the Zions, the RJ Barretts of the world. You could kind of see like the rest of college basketball catching up to John Calipari in that regard. And so when you add in that, when you add in the staff where he had two very key members leave and then basically replace them with Kenny Payne, you know, it's like there's definitely a lot in hindsight that's like there's just a lot of red flags that popped up, and I just can't believe it got this bad and that it's been so far. You know, like if you'd have told me Arkansas was going to underachieve this year, I'd have been like, okay, what are they go 9-9 in SEC play? Like, I just can't believe it's as bad as it is, and it just seems like it's really snowballed.
Well, and this will be a fun point because I know we got to get to some of your chats and some of your phone calls here too on the show. But I just have a hard time believing that, you know, what was said by anonymous coaches or whatever, that all of it is why Arkansas is struggling right now. Because here's the deal. It would have been one thing, as we've talked about, but if Kentucky the past few years have been struggling all the time and not being relevant, not being good, not being well coached or whatever, then I'd be like, okay, well then, yeah, I guess we should have seen this coming. But for crying out loud, like they were, what was it last year? They tied for second, I believe, in the SEC. The year before that they were third. The year before that they were first. I mean, it's just like I just don't buy into that. Where he goes from being one of the best teams in the SEC at 1 year to the next year having just more NIL, a really talented team, some of the same players and all that, and becomes dog water and just trash. Like it does not compute that way. And that's where at least I look at it as, I'll be curious to see. This year sucks, but next year maybe it gets back on track. Maybe it comes back and forth. It's just bad timing is what it is. It's just horrible timing.
Yeah, because like, no disrespect, but Boogie Flan and Carter Knox are not Reed Shepherd and Rob Dillingham.
No.
You know what I mean? But Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas might be.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah. So I there's definitely kind of a drop off there. I don't know. It's frustrating to me just to know. I mean, I think you got to go back a little bit, but like we talk about Cal and his X's and O's and everything, but like he's the guy who popularized the dribble drive motion offense. And that was like the thing for the longest there. And it's like, okay, so you kind of were out ahead of that and you just haven't been able to, to scratch that itch to come up with something different since then. It's frustrating, fascinating, honestly.
Who do you think the coach was in that last quote you gave, Curtis? Who do you think that was that said that head coach in the SEC?
Just based on what he's saying there, it makes me feel like it's somebody they've already played. It's like I look across the sideline now and I'm not, like there's no intimidation there.
I would say Barnes, if that's the case, because they've played each other so much that maybe there was a factor of it. I don't know if
boys though.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it might be Dennis Gates the way he was acting at SEC Media Day.
Low key, it might be. He saw through the BS right away.
Dude, that was so wild. For those of you who need context to that, when we were at SEC Basketball Media Days, what do they call it? The SEC Tip-Off or whatever, down in Birmingham before the season started. For whatever reason, Dennis Gates and John Calipari were yucking it up like crazy, like more so than any other coaches there. It was very odd and strange, but still. We have a lot to get to here, folks. Get to some of your chats real quick. Shout out to Stripey Swig. Appreciate the super chat as always. He says, I'm not a big hate guy. I don't like the word. I'll leave those intense negative feelings for next year if they still suck. So fair enough. Yeah. And like Curtis said, it's like hate, it's more of a tongue in cheek type of thing. It's like, hatred.
I hate that guy.
Yeah. It's like,
I hate that guy.
Yes, exactly. Like hatred as if you're wanting bad things to happen to him versus hatred of, oh man, that really just, I really don't like to see
gets
that
under
guy
my
succeed.
skin. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, do you guys ever seen Dazed and Confused? Ever seen that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, how they talk about O'Bannon, who has been Affleck's character, and you have the kid who's just like, oh, I hate that jerk. He says it like 8 times in that. It's like that way. It's like, I just hate that guy. He's so terrible. But yeah, want to make sure of that. I like this from Hickory Hog. He says, Muss would have had that article printed out and put all over the locker room. Yes, he would have.
Well, Muss also would have maybe sniped the article before it came out.
Yes. That's
true.
Did
I see a Kyle Tucker mentioned somewhere in the chat? That's interesting.
Yes. I did see. Yeah, where was that? I thought I marked that. Yeah. Oh, David Downey says Kyle Tucker said in the Athletic quoted SEC coach with similar comments in 2024. So he's talking about Cal.
I was texting back and forth with Jackson Collier yesterday, JC Hoops, as people know him on Twitter. And we were just cracking up that we never got that Eric Musselman hit piece that was being rumored to come out. But we got John Calipari's within like 18 games of his tenure at Arkansas. It's kind of crazy.
Is there like an iCloud we can hack into to get that hit piece somewhere? I just want to see what's in it and read. Like surely somebody's got it in their like Dropbox somewhere, and on record. I just want to see what it was in it.
That whole thing was crazy. But then the story became the whole Chris Beard deal and some other stuff that just kind of pushed that further and further down the in the archives, and then it never happened. So
yeah. A few other here chats, because again we'll get to some calls. This one comes from Blake. Says, Curtis, any idea how we were sitting with a 5-star Ament since we missed on the other big man?
I don't think Arkansas is getting him. He's got like a top 11. Arkansas is in it. They're probably in the top half of that group, but Cal likes him. Like Cal has been out to see him in person a number of times, like during the season even. And so that's a pretty good sign of a priority there, but he hasn't taken a visit yet. And he's been talking about doing it for the longest. If he shows up on campus, then I think you can start thinking about it. But right now, like the Duke and some other schools are probably in the driver's seat there. And he's also not a big man, just for the record. Like there's a big difference in him and Mo Silla in there. Like he's listed as a power forward, but like he's a 6'9" sniper, shooter, has some guard skills and everything. Like he wouldn't solve your physicality problems in the post. He weighs like 180 pounds at that height. So he's
There's
really
not really big men left in the class, right?
Mm-mm.
Or at least like ones that are at least on that high level.
Yeah, no, not really. It's going to be a portal hall.
They just need to go get a Sonogo, guys. Like, just go get that guy. Like, just go get one of those.
Yeah.
That's all they need. Just go get one. Just go get it, Oscar Sheboy, and they'll be fine.
No, he sucks. Remember, we determined he sucks.
That's true. Real quick, I enjoyed the world. I only bring this up because someone started. And usually it's only super chats, but I'm allowing this one to be. It says, so if Cal starts winning, are you guys okay with him saying the place doesn't matter? It's all him, and only sometimes facing the media and calling fans basketball bennies.
Cannot emphasize this enough. Yes. Like literally, that was the whole premise. Like everyone thinks that like when Arkansas hired Cal, we thought it was going to be like this vastly different thing. We just expected him to do what he had been doing at Kentucky, which was accumulating a very talented roster and maybe choking in the postseason here and there. That's what Arkansas baseball's been doing for a few years, and we love that. We were very cool with all the things that you guys are like, we've been suffering through this. We went 13-5 in the SEC and lost in the tournament. That's what we wanted. Like that was what we were okay with getting. And we were okay with it being Calipari's moving the headquarters. He's doing all this. And you're saying, well, so it's different now that he's losing? Yes. That is the difference. Like we just wanted to win. That was literally it. And so, yeah,
that's the bottom line, man.
When you lose, all these questions become valid. You don't get to disrespect us and lose. You can kind of disrespect us and be a me guy. As long as you're winning, we had properly sold our souls. We were perfectly fine with it. You can't do all this stuff and lose. That's the difference.
Yep.
Basketball bennies really hurts my feelings, though.
Yeah, I can't believe how many of y'all are crying about that shit, man.
Oh,
like it's crazy.
Did he call the fans that? Has
Apparently.
he done it yet? I guess so. He did it to media. He did it to us in a post-game press conference one day. I can't remember what question he asked, and we're like, is this a rhetorical question? Are we supposed to answer him? Like, we hadn't figured him out yet. And he's like, well, you got some basketball bennies in here.
I forgot about that completely.
Yeah, I did too, actually. Yeah. It reminds me of just like if there's this car out there that you just buy this brand new car and it's got great reviews, it's been solid and everything, but you get a lemon and it's breaking down and everything. You're like, this car sucks. I'm never buying another one again. This is awful. But guess what? If somebody comes up to you, be like, yeah, but would you see saying that about that car if it was running really well and going really well? It's like, no, I wouldn't be saying that because it would, if I could be fine. Like the car would be great. But when you're having to constantly put it in the shop and you can't figure out what's wrong with it, then yeah, you're going to hate it and you're going to be frustrated by it. It's the same concept.
I also like this comment. It's like, yeah, but that took 2 top 10 draft picks. Like, yes, that's what we want. That's exactly what we wanted to get. I mean, obviously, Boogie Fland's not going to go top 10. Thero's probably not going to go top 10 either. But it's like we kind of knew what the premise was. We had some NBA draft picks. You had some portal guys. You had some talented freshmen. We know what it is. That's what we wanted. I don't understand what's so hard to understand about that.
Yeah, man, bring that on. What are we talking about here? For the Kentucky fans who are listening, though, I've seen people reference a couple Kyle Tucker articles about the struggles and the staff and everything like that. If you guys have access to those, DM me a link because I really would like to read them. The Twitter handle or the X handle is right there underneath my name. But seriously, though, send them to me because I'd like to read them.
All right, let's work through a couple of calls here. Help us all. Yeah, let's go ahead and welcome him in. What's up, Ozzy? It's good to hear from you, man.
What's going on? And I'm with you guys about that anonymous quote. Like when I saw that, after hearing about what you guys said happened at SEC media, it wouldn't surprise me at all if that came from Dennis the Menace Gates. Shout out going 0-18. But you know, John, I meant to call this yesterday. This is kind of expanding on your podcast from yesterday, talking about just radio silence from the university and the timing. Yeah, I agree. The timing on this saga, if you will, could not have been any worse. And I compare Arkansas to Ole Miss in terms of like where that programs are. I mean, I've been watching the Razorbacks since 2001. The one team I've never worried about in terms of Arkansas being far and behind is Ole Miss. That's until Hunter, the incompetent Yurachek, took charge. Guys, it's just not acceptable. But he'll tweet out one Razorback, but I digress. You know, this all started with football and Hunter Yurachek getting out-negotiated by Jimmy Sexton, outmaneuvered. And then after Lane Kiffin goes to Ole Miss, a short while later, after you beat an overrated Texas team, you get Sam Pittman a horrible, horrible contract deal. And maybe I can understand it to a degree, but for basketball, like Ole Miss being good in basketball and Arkansas not having a conference win, that should not even be a thing. That doesn't even register on the computer upstairs. Because I can assure you, as somebody that's lived in Mississippi and worked in Mississippi for a time of my life, there ain't nothing in Mississippi, and they got to go against Mississippi State. The fact that you couldn't walk into Keith Carter's front door and say, "Hey, dude, this is my coach now." Guess what? Keith Carter's dunking on you just like he used to dunk on us back in his playing days. And the last thing I'll say is this. You know, I think you get almost a call to action yesterday, John, that as a fan base, we got to get our program back. When you said that, the first thing I thought of was it reminded me of when the Tennessee fans stormed the game, for lack of a better term, about, you know, Greg Schiano. I'm not willing to do that, but I will tell you this. Did Hunter Yurachek, if I'm pretty sure, during the touchdown club said something to the effect of, man, if we can just get $100 from 1,000 different families for 12 months, that'll beat our NIL goal or something like that. Well, Hunter Yurachek, I got something else for you. Instead of that comes out to $100,000 over 12 months. I think instead of $100,000, we should get 100,000 signatures on a petition saying that his ass needs to go. Because Hunter, the incompetent Yurachek, it's a shame. I know for a fact he interviewed for Texas A&M. I know he wanted the South Carolina job. Hunter, the incompetent Yurachek, your time's on the clock. The hog train's coming. Shout out Eddie in Clarksville. Let the whistle blow.
Okay, thanks, Ozzy. Good to hear from you as always, man.
I mean, listen, it's another solid call.
Yeah, it's 2 in a row.
Like, it's just, he's on fire, man.
He's been dialed in, man. Like he's been like, and obviously, you know, you still see little like glimmers of Ozzy in there, like the peak Ozzy, the crazy Ozzy. But you know, he's got a good head on his shoulders. He seems like he's approaching this pretty well. And honestly, like I have a hard time disagreeing with pretty much anything he said for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, real quick. Let's before we move on, let's go to Trey and Harrison real quick. Squeeze him in. What's up, Trey? You with us, Trey? All right. I guess Trey's not with us. So in that case, we will move on. Let's go ahead and jump into, of course, you know,
Trey.
I know. I thought that he's patiently holding too. Like just could not come through in the clutch. Those phones, man, sometimes they'll get you out there in Harrison. Let's go ahead and jump into a little bit of what to watch presented by Bryant Technologies, one of our new sponsors here. Bryant Technologies dedicated to delivering high-quality network infrastructure and security camera solutions, taking pride in their exceptional workmanship, as well as commitment to keeping your business operations seamlessly connected and secure. Whether it's structured cabling, security, camera installation, digital signage, or TV mounting, Bryant Technologies has you covered. They service the entire state of Arkansas as well as the bordering states of Arkansas as well. So have Bryant Technologies help you with all the network security needs. Give them a call today at 870-883-0330 or check out their website at bryantstechnologies.com. That's with an S between Bryant and Technology. bryantstechnologies.com. It's Bryant Technologies, quality work guaranteed. All right, guys. National championship game took place last night in college football. Ohio State won. Who cares? But man, there was a lot of fun stuff that surrounded the championship game within itself. A few things of note that we'll want to dive into. First off, we'll start with like the pregame and what was happening, guys. I'm all for, you know, like I'm all for, you know, this was I guess a singing, like they have a bunch of different songs to get sang and everything, and this comes from a individual that's from the Atlanta area School for the Deaf. You know, awesome stuff. But the name is Georgia Peaches.
That is awesome.
With Georgia being spelled not like the state, mind you, Johrgia, but then Peaches being spelled like peaches. So that's how we started off the night with Georgia Peaches there. Outstanding stuff.
That's electric, man. I love that. I really do. And I like the spelling. Sign me up.
Yeah.
That's a WWE ass name is what that is.
Yeah, man.
That's exactly what it reminded me of too. So I started off with that. But there was a few things that happened in this game, and I want y'all's thoughts because Marcus Freeman, who I think we even talked about, likable guy, did a really good job getting Notre Dame to the national championship and all of that. He had two pretty big boneheaded decisions that were highly criticized. And I want you guys to give your opinions on whether or not they deserve to be criticized. First off, actually, we'll just get to the one because the one of them I think was the most egregious. Notre Dame is down by 16 points, okay, with 9 minutes left. And it's 4th and 3. They kick a field goal to make it a 13-point game. I was sitting back and I'm like, I'm not going to be a coach, one of those coaches on Twitter be like, in this particular situation, the analytics say. But I'm like, so you made it go from a 2-possession game to a 2-possession game. I think that's not what lost him the game, but just one of those decisions. I'm like, can't be doing that in the national championship game, my man. That was bad.
Play to win the game. What are we doing here, man? Come on.
You play to win the game, and it's again when I'm not going to try and extrapolate this and be like Marcus Freeman actually sucks and cost him a national championship game because, but I'm going to use an example. The Houston Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans, who I love, has undoubtedly elevated the franchise in his 2 years. Houston's back to being competitive, back to being a playoff team. But when you have a defensive-minded head coach, they tend to do shit like this a lot, where like they view the game through a lens of we're never giving up any points. And so they play ball control. They will punt at the 41. They will kick a field goal, even if it's 4th and 1 at the 20. It's just, they have a very conservative mindset when it comes to scoring, they always just assume their defense is never going to give up any points and kind of view the game through that lens. And I see it happen a lot where it's like defensive head coaches are some of the best coaches. I mean, look, you think of some of the best coaches of all time, like a lot of them are defensive. Mike Tomlin is another one where it's like undoubtedly a top coach in the NFL, but I feel like it like limits your ceiling as a team when you have a coach that views it through that lens. And when you're playing a team like Ohio State with the offense they have, like you kind of have to go into the game knowing like we have to overachieve offensively. We got to score as many points as possible. And I love making fun of coaches' decisions, but like this kind of stuff really drives me nuts whenever coaches will like punt on 4th and 2 or kick a field goal when it doesn't make any sense to kick a field goal. Like, I don't know. It just drives me nuts. But I've been watching DeMeco Ryans do crap like that all year.
I don't want to be this guy because I've never been a coach at high level. Curtis, I know you have. I don't know if you guys heard it, Curtis, coach.
I don't know what your definition of high level is, but hey.
It's higher than me. That's my definition of high level. It's higher than me. But like I've always just been, if you're in plus territory, if you're in the enemy territory and it's 4th and 1, no matter what, you go for it. Like and I mean, if it's in a field goal range, but say if it's in that, give or take thing, like between the, I guess like the 50 and the 35 or whatever, go for it. If it's 4th and short, go for it. And if I'm in the national championship game, I'm Notre Dame, I'm down, I'm an underdog. Dude, no one is going to blame you at all for just being aggressive. No one is. And if they are, they're as dumb as they are stupid. Just, it's a national championship game, man. You're playing in house money. You're not even supposed to be there by a lot of people's estimations. So yeah, that was definitely one thing. This is another thing.
If I was a football coach, I wouldn't even have a kicker or punter on my roster.
So you're trying to say you're Kevin Kelly?
Yeah, Kevin Kelly. There you go.
We don't do that here. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
Where's he at now? He's back, right?
Sheridan.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's tough to win down there. It's almost like when you're not at a private school where you're able to, I could spend all day talking about that. Anyways, this was another great thing that happened after the game. There was an accident that happened in a golf cart.
Ryan J., you deserve it, brother. Thank you. Thank you. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Nope, it's busted.
It's okay. We're close, you guys. Come on. I'm so sorry.
She said, we're close, you guys. Come on.
Everybody okay? Everybody okay?
everyone good?
You deserve it, brother. You fucking deserve it.
Wow. All right.
So that depth perception thing, because the wall was obviously gray, the floor was gray. Did she get kind of like duped a little bit, like thinking like, oh, I got plenty of room to make this turn? She wasn't even close to making the turn.
No.
I think the lights were a little too bright for her in that moment.
Yeah.
I think that she had never driven that golf cart before in her life until then. That's what I think.
Could be the case.
You know how much worse it would have been if that was like the Notre Dame team? Like that would have been like if you just won a title, like, hey, you know, those guys are goofing around, hey, like whatever. But man, if that would have been Marcus Freeman and the rest of them just getting a wreck in a golf cart, it's a tough scene. Tough scene.
She's very close to getting just enough of that corner to just throw Ryan Day straight into the wall, which that would have been tough. But you know,
now that I'm thinking about it, was Urban Meyer sitting on a golf cart when he ate that Papa John's pizza?
Yes.
Do you remember the Papa John's pizza after, I guess it was the Big Ten title game?
Yeah.
I don't know any post-game Ohio State moments here in the last decade.
I don't know if it was it was either a golf cart or like the thing that, what was it that Marshawn Lynch drove on the field?
Yeah. Yeah.
like the Gator thing.
Yeah. It was one of those, but like kind of the same concept. But yeah, that was something about Ohio State coaches. Yeah. Getting in trouble there. I'm not going to say what all the jokes are in the chat right now, but you know, there's plenty of those being made.
She won't be escaping the allegations. So
I know. Come on now. But still, that was pretty good stuff. A few other things too. What are yours? Actually, I'm not even going to ask this question because I know y'all's thoughts on Dan Wolken. He tweeted this out. He was there covering the game. This is at 4:40 in the morning, by the way. Bizarre scenes from the Notre Dame locker room. Players yelling at reporters. Coaches warning people not to ask certain questions. Amateur hour.
Dan
that's
Walker
why,
sucks. I
that's
have no
why I
idea what
retweeted
happened,
it.
but he sucks.
That's why I retweeted it. I was like, there ain't nobody in that locker room at 4:40. So did you like get back to your hotel and you're writing your column and you're like, you know what? Actually, that was crazy. I mean, what the hell? Did you forget to hit send and then you open Twitter back up at 4:40 and was like, I'm putting it out now. Like, I mean, what happened there? So strange.
I don't know, man. But is there anybody who hates the sport they cover more than Dan Wolken?
No.
He drove me nuts when we were in. That would have been Vegas, I think.
Yes, it was Vegas because he was obsessed with the way the new balls are being used.
Yeah,
and here's the thing: I'm not a big J journalist. I never will be. But when you get a national writer in there, and that's the only story of the NCAA tournament that's real, I was like, dude. Like, that sounds like something, no offense to, because I'm friends with a few of them, but no, that's like something like Barstool Sports would just be like, we got to talk about this ball out here. It's like, come on, man. Like,
there are very few opportunities you have nowadays to get locker room access after a game. And if Dan Wolken is in there with you, you're going to be upset. Like, we couldn't even get to players, before the game because he was running up there and he was like, Eric Musselman took off his shirt. What do you think? It just, come on, guy. And I got to ask you about the basketballs. Are they too inflated? Not inflated enough? What do you think about the grip? He was just going on and on and on. And we're like, this is nice, man. But my goodness, can we get in there, dude?
Because wasn't he doing stuff like, because it just kind of to the point of taking his shirt off. It was almost like he didn't know and nobody knew that Musk did these things. It was kind of like, how shocked were you to see him take his shirt off in celebration? It's like, yeah, man, we've seen him get pretty crazy sometimes, it's
pretty mild.
Yeah.
Ricky Council, he's like, he works out in our weight room with his shirt off every day. Like, it's these nipples ain't new to me. So
here's the last thing I'll say on Wolken is, listen, I can't speak for everybody, but me personally, I grew up loving sports and I loved Arkansas Razorbacks in particular. So I constructed my life so that I could get a job where I get to watch sports and cover the Arkansas Razorbacks. And obviously in that, I had to do a bunch of stuff that I didn't want to do. All the excess, all the press conferences, all the whatever. You kind of have to do it because you love the sport and because you love the Razorbacks. And I feel like there's a lot of big J national journalists who love the other stuff and tolerate the sports aspect of it. And I think Wolken's one of those guys who, like, The game means literally nothing to him. It's everything outside of the game and all the weird narratives and asking questions about, like, that's the stuff that he loves. The sport is just kind of secondary. And I feel like it's a big issue. Basketball, and I've said this for a while, college basketball national guys are not like that. Like, all the college basketball national guys, for the most part, I feel like love basketball. I have no doubt Jeff Goodman loves basketball. I have no doubt John Rothstein loves basketball, or Seth Davis, or whoever it is. Football, those dudes hate football. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because not to go start a whole hornet's nest here, but I'll never forget when the COVID stuff was happening, and there were teams and conferences that were not wanting to play, and the SEC was like, "No, we're playing." Like, people like Wolken were just like, "This does not need to happen at all. They do not need to play. This is unacceptable." I'm like, your business is relying on this. Like, all of our livelihoods in the media business need this, and you're just over here like, doesn't need to happen. They can take a year off, because he would probably get pay and not have to do anything. He could write about all the balls that he wants to write about. So that's probably what it would be more so of. And also, did you guys know he's from Arkansas? I don't know if you knew that.
Did not know that.
Yeah, he's from, I think, Rogers or something. So we don't claim him. Let's see a few other things here too that we'll get into. So I just want y'all's thoughts on this. Everyone's talking about it, but we saw the first year 12-team playoff college football national championship. Overall thoughts now that we saw it in full action and in full. I mean, obviously we talked a lot about the auto bids and reseeding and stuff, but just what'd you think?
I don't know what they need to do, but they need to find a way to wrap this up a little bit sooner. Because I absolutely loved the first couple rounds. I thought it was awesome. I feel like I was more engaged with it than I've ever been. Did not pay attention at all to the buildup of this championship game, and didn't really check out a whole bunch of it last night. Like, I just lost interest in it. And I don't think it's just because of the teams that were in there that I don't necessarily care about. I mean, it's January 20th and the season is ending. So that's crazy. I do like the idea. I think it's cool. I love having those first round games on campus the way they do. I think that's a really cool wrinkle. They need to tweak, some of the things with the selection process maybe, but overall I'm cool with it, man. They just got to speed this thing up a little bit.
I'm with you. Maybe start it a little bit earlier. And I think there's also some other tweaks of, like, maybe not doing the auto bids that are the automatic top. Like, I think I like an auto bid. I don't like an auto top 4 seed.
Auto buy.
Yeah, I don't like the auto buy. I think those need to be the 4 best teams.
Yes.
Because I think what ended up happening was one side of the bracket was just way worse than the other. And part of that was Ohio State didn't perform. They were like the number 7 seed or whatever, 7, 8. Them in Oregon, like, that's kind of unfortunate. But, like, you, in hindsight, you look at the other side of the bracket with, like, Boise State, Georgia without a quarterback, Indiana, Notre Dame, like, that side of the bracket kind of sucked. But I think that also is just kind of part of the whole thing. Like the NFL, there's always going to be one side that's stronger than the other. NBA, like, it always kind of works that way. For the most part, I'm cool with it. Because I think we're now in a point where nobody can really say anything to Ohio State. They went out there and proved it. They went out there and showed they were the best team. The only people that can say anything to them are Michigan fans, and rightfully so. And they're going to say something to them either way. But, like, even Oregon fans can't be like, well, we beat you in the regular season. Well, we whipped your ass when it mattered. It's like, I think that I liked the process of how it played out. Like, I'm okay with the logistics of it. Just a few things I can clean up. Definitely don't want your season ending January 20th. I mean, it used to be January 7th, 8th. Like, maybe start it a week or maybe 10 days after the conference title, and then we can let it play out earlier.
They start spring ball in a month.
Yeah.
Literally. Everyone's reshaped their roster completely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and I don't want to feel like I'm an old man, but it's like back in my day. It's like, I remember when the national championship game was like January 2nd sometimes. Like, I mean, it was so early. And I agree with everything you guys said. And this is something that's not new, but I'm going to keep harping on it. I know why it's this way. I just really wish it wasn't. The game does not need to be on a Monday night. Saturday is college football. This game needs to be on a Saturday night. And I know it's not going to change because of the NFL and they don't want to compete, blah, 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 blah. I get it. But Super Bowl Sunday is on Sunday because that's the NFL's day. Mm-hmm. Saturday is college football. The whole moniker of Saturday for the boys, it kind of has the college football vibes to it. That's college football. So, and what was it, a week and a half until these teams played? It shouldn't be the case. You should have in my own perfect world, especially when you get to the semifinals, to have the semifinals on Saturday, and then the next Saturday is the national championship. That's the way it should be. Saturday. I know it's not going to happen, but I really wish that was the case.
I don't have a problem with that at all. I like it.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff was weird, man. Like, weren't there CFP games on like Thursdays, and it was
like
kind of all over the place. Yeah,
when it was New Year's Eve was on a Wednesday, and so you had people literally playing Wednesday, and 1 on Wednesday, 3 on Thursday.
Yeah, it was weird. So yeah, those are just little tweaks, but I like it. It was more football. We got some interesting matchups. What was it? None of the top 4 seeds made it to the top 4, right, in the semifinals. So, and that's what's also crazy too. If you think about just a year ago, these 4 teams that were in the semifinals wouldn't even been in the semifinals. It would have been the other 4 teams. Well, I guess, I don't know, the rankings would have changed. It doesn't matter. It's fun. It's more football. Make some adjustments here and there, and I think everybody would be pretty excited about it. So, and also a last one dealing with the national championship game too. Apparently everyone's freaking out because the Atlanta airport's a mess.
I was seeing some of this morning that the lines were so backed up that it was like outside and it's freezing cold or whatever. And
yeah, because what is it? I think it's John Rothstein that talks about clear. He's like clear TSA pre-check on steroids or whatever he tweets out.
Yeah.
So, but apparently the clear line was 3-hour wait. So it was a nightmare. But I don't know. Part of me is like, yeah, that sucks. That's terrible. But the other part of me is like, what was expected? It's
traveling for a big event.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
it's going to be hard.
Atlanta. Like, yeah.
Let me guess. The New York airport is packed on Christmas Day.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, who would have guessed that would be the thing? So hopefully we don't run into that, fellas. It's amazing. We fly out a week from tomorrow to Lexington. So it's coming up here quick. And
I wish I was as excited as I once was.
I know.
I'm really looking forward to the trip and just hanging out down there, and I'm sure the buildup and everything will be cool, but some of the luster is gone, man.
I'm telling you. It's like
if they could win 2 games this week, would mean nothing other than we could trick ourselves into thinking that maybe they're they're figuring it out.
That all it would do is make us say stuff that we would eventually regret.
Yeah.
We go, you know what? We're beating you in Lexington, and then we'll look stupid.
I miss the days of saying things I regret. Now we just gotta grin and bear it and be like, yeah.
I mean, I'm almost at the point where I'd rather Arkansas go 1-17 with that 1 win being in Rupp than Arkansas win like 6 games. I'm kind of to that point. Like, if you gave me a choice right now, because 6 games ain't getting you into the tournament no matter what. So give me 1-17 with that 1 win being in Rupp.
I just hope the kids have fun.
That would be so funny if Arkansas was literally 1-17 and it was Kentucky.
I really do, deep within my heart, hope that it's a good game over there.
I do too.
I mean, obviously, I would love to see Arkansas win, but just a good game. Like maybe Arkansas jumps out early and Cal gets his moment to flex, and the place is quiet for a minute. Some back and forth. Like if it was an instant classic, either way, with the outcome, that would be pretty sweet. But just historically speaking, regular season, when I travel to games like this, it doesn't go well, boys. Now the last one was Madison Square Garden in Michigan, though, so maybe that streak is over.
Yeah, and I guess with us 3, we're 0-1, right? Oklahoma State was the only one all 3 of us were at.
Football, yeah.
Well, just in general, I guess. So yeah, let's break that. Let's break that streak. It'd be fun. I'm the same way though. I'm looking forward more to just all the stuff around. I've never been to Lexington before. Yeah. I'm looking forward to getting a very warm welcome from all the great people there in Lexington for sure. Checking out a new city, seeing the campus, seeing Rupp. Never seen Rupp before, so it's like an adventure. It's because like me and Curtis are going to be going to Auburn. I'm not going there because I'm excited about the game, but I've never seen the Auburn Tigers basketball arena and all that. So just gotta find the joy and the negative things that goes on.
Next week, there's no basketball game next week until the weekend against Kentucky, so we'll be able to ask all these people about food wrecks and places we need to go.
Yeah,
I feel
actually,
like if they're
already
still
got.
watching at this point, they'll steer us in the right direction.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. They won't poison us at all. But I actually did get somebody sending food and coffee recommendations to me.
Okay.
And it was a legit, nice Kentucky fan. They do exist. So we have to hit those up. But yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. But speaking of, we were talking about the championship game. This is just our Alumni Hall question of the day. I thought it'd be fascinating to kind of talk about. Presented by Alumni Hall. Check out InsideArkansas.com/Alumni Hall. You can shop today, get all the greatest Razorback apparel. Baseball season right around the corner. I know a big gymnastics meet a lot of people are going to be going to on Friday, as well as Razorback basketball Saturday. We're going to be there live, Inside Arkansas live at noon on Friday there in Alumni Hall, 3417 North College Avenue. So come say hey to us. They're going to have a lot of great new shipments coming in of new stuff. And also we'll have some giveaways, some gift cards to give away too. So come and check it out and hang out with us there at Alumni Hall. Guys, just as far as Ohio State won the title, and I hate Ohio State. I think most people do. But if you were to guess, and this is all sports, not just in football or anything, but just the most universally hated by everybody's school when it comes to college sports, who would you say is in your opinion, the most universally hated by everybody?
This is an easy one. Go ahead, Curtis.
Alabama.
Oh, that's not what I was thinking. Thinking
Okay,
Texas for sure. I thought that was going to be like a landslide.
Well, here.
No, but I mean, like I know a lot of people that watch sports that are not Arkansas fans that I haven't met one of them that doesn't hate Texas.
Yeah. And this isn't just for Arkansas fans. It's just in general. Like, because I was thinking about, there's going to be certain schools, because we ask Alabama fans what school they're going to hate the most. Auburn, but just from no rivals, no anything. I just put the choices out on social media of Texas being one of them, Ohio State, Notre Dame, or other. I feel like there was a list I read. I think it was only from 2 years ago, but it gave out the most hated sports teams in college, and those were the top three. And no surprise with Razorback fans and everything, but 50% say Texas, as you said, Andrew. 32% say Ohio State. 13.5% say Notre Dame, and then just 5% say other teams. So,
yeah, I feel like with some of those, like Notre Dame is a big one, obviously, just because they're a huge national brand. But I feel like there are people outside of the Notre Dame fan base who kind of like Notre Dame, or like just kind of cheer for him, whether it's a Catholic or whether it's just someone who liked Rudy, or just, someone that just has a general respect for Notre Dame. I feel like there are zero people outside of the Texas fan base who have any love or respect for Texas. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, every Big 12 school that was in the Big 12 with them, I feel like if you asked all of them unanimously, they'd be like, Texas is the team we hate the most. And I feel like the SEC, obviously, Arkansas fans feel that way. But outside of like their own personal rivalries, like in Auburn or Alabama, I just feel like Texas, across the three sports, doesn't have much love from anyone.
No,
nor should they. But I feel like they're also, by the way, just one of the biggest brands in sports.
Yeah, I don't think
anybody gives a damn about Texas basketball. I don't think anybody thinks about it.
Yeah,
fair. I guess that little stretch where they had KD, couple good centers or whatever. But yeah, they're not like a huge thing in basketball. But of course, like football's carrying a lot of weight around in this conversation.
Yeah, well, and also, I don't know, like I hate Texas, but at least Texas, you feel like, okay, it's bigger in Texas. There's a lot to Texas. It's Austin. I think Ohio State is my vote. I hate Ohio State so much, and I hate the state of Ohio in general. And
have you ever been to the state of Ohio?
I have a couple times. I know you remember this, Curtis, but I drove through it quite a bit on my way to Buffalo.
You did do that.
I think I drove through like Dayton and Columbus, right? Yeah, Columbus and Cincinnati, which Cincinnati was actually pretty cool. But I've been to Cleveland. That sucks. It's just, I don't know. I hate the state. I've hated the coaches that have been there for the most part. Like, I did not like Urban Meyer. Did not like Jim Tressel. Not a huge fan of Ryan Day. The fans, I remember the Sugar Bowl, they were the worst, man. The worst type of fans. So, you can hate all. We're talking about hate today, apparently. But yeah, I think that it's for me, it'd be Ohio State. Just, they don't do anything for me. I'm trying to even remember if there was a player I liked from Ohio State. I guess I like Greg Oden, basketball.
Conley?
Yeah, Conley. Wish he would have been at Arkansas, but Conley, yeah.
Of course.
That would have been one. Didn't like Terrell Pryor. Didn't like they cheated in the 2002 National Championship game against Miami. That was not pass interference. So, yeah, just
R.I.P. Sean Taylor.
Yeah, well, a lot of people on that Miami team.
I was trying to think. Michigan, I feel like also is probably in this discussion in terms of just overall hatred, especially because their basketball program had been really good for a while there. So like when they were, Trey Burke and all those guys, they were a big target, and just football, they're one of the bigger brands.
Yeah.
USC was very villainous in the early 2000s with football, in particular. Like I feel like they had a little bit of a stretch there.
Yeah. Speaking of it, random, but what happened to, was it Bayline, whoever the coach was for Michigan? What happened to him? Yeah.
He went to the NBA at one point,
He
I
coached
think.
the Cleveland Cavaliers for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So what's he doing now? Like, I mean,
Being
He should
old.
be on John Calipari's staff calling the shots, but he's not.
Oh yeah, lead assistant at Arkansas next year.
you have just started a thing like right now because everyone's going to be like, get rid of Cal and let's bring in Beeline. He ain't doing nothing. He went to 2 Final Fours.
Somebody legitimate brought that up in the offseason. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Goodman, so I don't know why I said legitimate, but it might have been him. Somebody said that he should go get an NBA guy, and then somebody brought up Beeline. I just wish I remember who said it, but yeah.
We don't talk about enough how Jeff Goodman like went on a weird Mike Anderson tangent for like 5 years there, where he was just like tweeting about Mike Anderson regularly. Like, this guy's the worst coach in college basketball, bar none. This guy should not. He literally was like, this guy should not have a college coaching job, period. I remember him tweeting that. He was like, let alone the St. John's job. He should not have a college job, period. It's like, what? Like something happened. I don't know. Like, I know they again, Jeff Goodman had a one-on-one beef with a guy and let it affect his work, but that was weird.
Ken, I just want to tell this real quick story about that because I do remember that, Andrew. I was doing the morning rush on ESPN Arkansas when Mike Anderson got fired, and it obviously was a big thing. Well, Jeff Goodman, this is before he was a heel as much as he is now, but he was obviously very much against Mike Anderson. I asked him to come on the show that day to talk about, Mike Anderson, Arkansas, and all that. Right before he comes on, Mike Anderson Jr. calls into the show, Mike Anderson's son, and was basically like defending everything that people may have felt about Mike Anderson, and he even says, and people like Jeff Goodman who try, and he didn't even know that he was coming on the show. And I'm like, and Jeff Goodman was on hold hearing this. And I'm like, shoo, buddy, like we're about to have some weird tension. I almost thought about just piping in Jeff Goodman and be like, hey, by the way, Mike Anderson Jr., we got Jeff Goodman on the line if you guys want to talk about it. But that was the last time I had Jeff Goodman on my show, but it was very weird and strange at that time. So
that's funny.
Yeah. Good times. Jeff Goodman hates anyone that can pronounce swish without spitting on others.
Wow, John said it, not me. That's crazy.
Brutal.
Oh, gosh. What are we doing here? That's fine. All right, let's go ahead and jump into your SEC update presented by Rhoback. Go to Rhoback.com, use promo code HOGSBY20 for 20% off your very first purchase. Don't really have much of an SEC update other than I just wanted to play this. We talked about it yesterday, but, the inauguration, C-SPAN, a guy called in. They were asking about President Trump and all that. Well, he just wanted to use it to talk about how he felt that there was some screw jobs happening in the college football playoffs.
To become the next director of national intelligence. Graham in Jersey City, New Jersey, Democrats line.
Hi, I want to wish everyone a happy MLK Day. I hope everyone's staying warm. A bit disappointed how the election turned out. I think it would have been great to see a female president inaugurated today. And while I'm disappointed in the American people and their desire to see another 4 years of Trump, I'm a bit more disappointed in the selection committee for not picking Alabama for the college football playoff finals, and instead picking inferior teams like SMU and Indiana. Truly dark times in America.
Okay. Graham there. We've got pictures of more of the
truly dark times in America.
C-SPAN folks just were like, we don't know what he's talking about. We gotta shift real quick.
Dude,
that's pretty good.
I love that so much because first off, it just means more. Second off, it had to be Alabama, and third off, like, why are you doing call-ins on something like what did you think was going to happen? Like, we're lucky we do call-ins on this show without getting trolled. Like, what? Apparently you don't have
need a hotline for on inauguration day. I mean, I know what you need it for, but I'm like, that is kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty bold strategies there. I don't really know.
I do wonder what the thought process was. Maybe he lost, like that was his losing bet for fantasy football or something. Because like otherwise, why the heck would you call C-SPAN to rant about the college football playoff? Like you just wake up and you're like, you know what? I got to get this off my chest. I don't know, man.
That is interesting. I like this comment from our boy Hazelwood. He says that would have been a normal Paul Finebaum call. The only reason why it's not a normal Paul Finebaum call is there are 0 Democrat voters that call into Paul Finebaum. There's never happened one time.
Well, that's what I laughed about too, is that they have two different phone lines for like, the Democrats or the Republicans, depending on which. It's like, okay, just we're gonna gauge it by that. But yeah, that was pretty great from yesterday. We'll get into a little buy or sell action here, as well as an Arkansas update. A couple of things that I wanted to bring up, though, from a chat. Speaking of, from Logan, says, hey, my Rhoback order came in today. Appreciate the code, fellas. Hey, appreciate you, Logan. Yeah, good high quality clothing, and it's awesome. So yeah, be sure to check it out if you haven't yet. This one came from BH501109, whatever. He says, who wins more SEC games, Razorback basketball or football in 2025?
I still think basketball. Maybe they really do go winless, but I think if they win 3, that probably clinches it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they could win more this week.
Yeah, that's true. Technically,
Razorback basketball in the next 7 days, or Razorback football in the next 3 years.
Yeah. Also, God, I'm going to do this, but it's a Heartbroken Hog just brought. He said, Josh Pate has talked about how shocked he was to learn that there are people who cover the sports for a living. We're talking about Dan Wolken earlier. Says they don't even like it and hate football because of a fan covering it for a living was a dream job. Guys, I'm just going to be honest. Like, Josh Pate's kind of getting on my nerves. Like yesterday, as soon as the championship game ended, you posted a picture of him and Ryan Day. It was like, you can't spell Josh without OH. And it's just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, it's weird. I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to have anybody pile on. It's just something I saw as like, it kind of bothered me. That's it. If you like Josh Pate, I have no problem with Josh Pate, but that's the type of stuff that's just bothering me. So
I used to be an avid listener, and I can't remember the last time I tuned in.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It just rubs me the wrong way. So that's the best way to put it.
I've gone back and forth on Pate a good bit. Like I was kind of like Curtis. Like I was not a big fan, but I listened to his show, and like I thought he did a really good job a couple years ago, especially whenever we were kind of under the same umbrella at 24/7. Like I was a fan of his work, and then he kind of lost me for a little bit. He's got me a little bit back on board. Like for the most part, I still think he's probably as good as any other national college football guy there is. There's not a ton that are really doing it at a high level like he is, but he is he's a self-promoter, which you kind of have to be in this industry a little bit. But now, yeah, don't say you don't like him. You don't like Pate around Heartbroken Hog. That dude will really not appreciate that. He freaking loves Josh Pate.
Yeah, well, and that's fine. You can like him too. It's just I'll be honest. He big timed me once, and I haven't forgiven him. That's one way to get on my list is if you big time me, and just act like that my time is not precious. Not that I have an ego or anything. So,
well, he is big on. By the way, it's weird that he big timed you because he's big on like the fan base wars, and that's the one thing I don't like that he does is he really tries to like appease certain fan bases, which Arkansas he panders to the Hogs like as much as anyone, but he really likes to like kind of stick it in other fan bases' face. So I thought he would have joined forces with you.
Yeah, you would have thought, but no, he just told me straight up, and I quote, "I don't have time for you." Okay, all right. All right. I'm not petty or anything. All right. So,
and when you come from such humble background, you know what I mean? Like that's part of the story that's pretty cool of
the
way he did it. And he's like the storm watcher and he hops on trains and, like hustles his way across the country and everything. And so it's a pretty cool story, but then to forget where you came from and try to big time folks like that, it's kind of a lame move.
Yeah. Just, that's how I feel, Again, it's no worries though. No worries. Let's see. Also, shout out to Heartbroken Hog with the super chat. Says Ellis, I love y'all too. I'll also defend y'all to anyone. So,
you need a job next week. You want to come to Lexington?
Yeah, we are looking for.
Man, you ain't lying. You ain't lying. In fact, that was what some people said in the chat. Like Logan was saying, keep the strap on y'all. And also like this from Kurt from Wade says Curtis and Andrew can handle their own, and John can take Matt Jones. So is that saying that I could only handle Matt Jones. That's the only one that I'll be able to handle. And then
I don't
Curtis
know.
Andrew can
He's
fight
not mean,
anybody.
though, right? So like me and Curtis would have to probably take at least a couple of them, right?
We'd have to fight off a lot, I feel like.
Yeah. You guys got to debate who gets Jack Pilgrim and who gets who's the other KSR guy, the guy with the beard, Drew Franklin. So you guys got to decide who.
Is Matt Jones like huge?
No, I mean, I don't think so. I've only seen him once, I think, in my life.
Strikes me as very tall, but maybe he's not.
I
know.
tell you about the time that I was listening to Pardon My Take, and I was in college, and I was under the influence of some things, and I listened to a whole Matt Jones interview, thinking it was Adam Morrison.
What?
Dude, I was also like, it was like late at night, and I was just kind of listening to it, high as a kite, and I was they had Adam Morrison and Matt Jones, the Kentucky Sports Radio Matt Jones, on the same episode. And I just kind of misheard it a little bit and thought they were interviewing Matt Jones. And so they were talking about NCAA basketball, of course. And Morrison it was who I thought was Morrison. It was Matt Jones, kept referencing all these tournament games. I'm like, I do not remember Gonzaga playing those guys. Like, I just, that did not, and it took me like 45 minutes before I was like, oh, because then when they finished the interview, they were like, all right, now we're going to Adam Morrison. And I was like, oh, and I was like, all right, there you go. That's how I found out who Matt Jones was, this particular Matt Jones.
Oh, well, I just knew about him because of the Malik Monk thing that happened about 10 years ago. That was a lot, but apparently they talked about on their KSR show that we're going to be there at KS Bar in Lexington. So yeah, I'm pumped for that. It's going to be so fun.
Excited.
Yeah.
The place looks really cool. I am looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. It's goals, Like, I'd love to have an Inside Arkansas bar. Like, that'd be cool. So the fact that they got one's pretty sweet. So, all right. Let's go ahead and jump into your Arkansas update presented by Davis and Garrett Insurance, your independent auto owners insurance agency, securing what matters the most. A little bit quiet on the Razorback front, but I know you tweeted this out, Andrew, so I went ahead and got it. Razorback baseball, little new unis, new fonts.
I'm a huge fan of these. It looks like the red uniforms that they have, just kind of the inverse of it. The best part about it is not the Jeff Long font.
That's right. We don't do Jeff Long fonts anymore. Which I love. I think, see if I can find the comment of it. That was earlier in the show. Yeah, from Hunter Ratio. He says, the thing I dislike the most about Hunter Yurchek is that he kept the Jeff Long font around. Thank God for the new baseball uniforms. It's just always referred to as the Jeff Long font. It's like, I think if you type it in on Microsoft Word and just Jeff Long, that font you can use is the official. But yeah, I like it though. I do like the uniforms.
The thing that I'm anxious to see what the pins look like, because the pins last year had the Jeff Long font on them. The white uniforms also did. Same with the grays. Like we haven't seen those yet. I didn't realize this was happening until I saw this on Pepe's Instagram. Which, by the way, are we gonna talk about Rocco Pepe just being juiced to the gills? It's massive. Look at the biceps.
Hammer curl season.
That's that Nate Thompson ball coming into effect. Nasty Nate's got him a lineup, boys.
Dude, I feel like if you have a tattoo like that on your forearm, you better have big buys. You better have big biceps, because it takes a lot of guts, in my opinion, to have a tattoo on your forearm but not on your bicep. So
you like that better than the trees?
Who?
The tree for the forearm tat that people have with the trees.
Yeah,
y'all like that?
Yeah, why not?
I haven't seen much of it. Jeez. So, all right. Well, baseball season will be here very shortly. So, also before we move on, because I do want to have some fun with some buy or sell with Bet Saracen. David did want to know, Andrew, what are some of the names Hawk fans should learn within the next 30 days?
See, I'm not going to answer this question because I have been answering these questions for a while on the Inside Arkansas YouTube channel. You just scroll over at the homepage. There's like home, live, videos. There's one that says podcasts, and there will be one that says the Bombastic Podcast. Whatever question you have about the baseball team, it is answered in that little playlist.
So does that mean I don't have to answer any further questions about this basketball team every single day on this show? Is that okay? Can I just not do that now?
During the season, I'll answer them, but I'm not going to do the hey, who's a breakout guy? Because I have a video that's titled "Breakout Players to Watch, Freshmen to Watch, Hitters to Watch," and all that. So it's it's people that tell on themselves for not listening to the show. But no, I mean, look, I'm going to do live chat. I'm doing a live chat episode Friday. And so, I'll answer questions in real time, but when it's one like that, where it's like, okay, you could take 2 minutes to go consume the work that I do,
Andrew doesn't have time for you.
Don't have time for you, David.
Yeah, him and Josh Pate have that in common. No time for you. Getting big timed by Andrew Ellis.
Listen to Bombastic.
Yes. Yeah, that's the moral of the story.
Exactly.
Listen to Bombastic. Listen to all of our content, you fiends. Just do that. All right, let's go ahead and
I got
a
a text message from our buddy Swish Musselman yesterday. Yeah. He was watching some inauguration stuff, and I can't remember who it was who had the quote. I'd have to go back and look at the text, but apparently it was like a very pronounced Donald Trump is bombastic. And I was like, oh, I got to go find that and just clip it and send it to him. Like, it's my mission to find this clip. So
I want to find that clip too. I definitely want to use that.
Yeah. And also some little new intro mix-ups a little bit too on both Part of the Palace and Bombastic. So I know I saw some people commenting on that, which is good. So we'll mix up a little bit. All right, let's go ahead and jump into a little buy or sell action presented by Bet Saracen. It's the #1 sports betting app here in the state of Arkansas. A lot of you may have won some money last night, and maybe not so much, but either way, it's sporting events 24/7, 365 of all different walks of life. Here in Arkansas, they have specials. It's the best sports betting app in the state, hands down, not even close. So go to betsaracen.com and get to betting that way, or get on your iPhone or your Android and download the Bet Saracen app. It's Bet Saracen, and Arkansas's #1 sports betting app. Did I miss a chat that got mentioned?
I mean, it's not. I mean, I'll go ahead and pull it up. Brian just put Barron Trump in the post for Arkansas. You see that video, John? Barron Trump looking tall.
Yes, I actually meant to pull that and to put it up there because as I made the most clever joke ever. I was like, that's how people feel like when me and Andrew are walking in front of Curtis. Everyone thinks Curtis is just like 8 feet tall. So yeah.
I mean, I read that.
Go ahead.
I think I read that he's actually like 6'7". Like is legit.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, he's actually huge. Like obviously he's not as big as the edited video, but like he's a big lad now.
I thought he was like 6'9", to be honest, because Donald Trump's not a short guy, and he's huge over Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look this up.
Oh no, that got me.
He is. Yeah, he's 6'7". Jeez. Yeah, put him in the post. Do you think he would need NIL? Probably not. I think he's good.
Yeah, he's probably good there. He's on that Keon Minifield non-scholarship walk-on diet.
All right, let's do a little buy or sell action. A lot of this having to do with what we kind of discussed a little bit today. But going with the college football landscape of things, how about this? Buy or sell that at least half of the college football playoff teams next year will feature different teams from this past year.
How motivated do you think Keon Minifield is after seeing LeAngelo Ball's success? Basketball career doesn't work out, and you just get the music thing going. Anyway, let's see. At least half the CF.
So, okay, yes. I'm gonna have to go through team by team for this. Mm-hmm. My initial thought was no, because for the most part in college football, it's a lot of the same characters each year that make the playoff. But this year's playoff was a little weird. Like for instance, Arizona State. Probably not making it next year, if I had to guess. SMU probably not making it. Boise State probably not making it. Indiana probably not making it. But then again, you've got like Notre Dame probably will make it. Georgia probably will make it. Like there's a lot of
like
it's pretty split. Texas. Like it's pretty split on like familiar foes versus. I don't think Texas is going to be back there though.
This is a very good buy or sell.
This is a great one. When it comes down to the wire like this, I like it.
Yeah, it's like that's the intent every single time. But sometimes I sounded great in my head, and then when I read, I'm like, this is stupid. This is a dumb question. Like I don't even know why I'm asking this one. But
so at least I need to find 6 teams that will not make it next year. Right.
Right. Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna buy it.
SMU, Indiana, Arizona State.
Boise State.
Oh yeah, Boise State would be 4.
I think I'm going to take this actually because I think
I might too.
From the like Clemson, Notre Dame, Georgia's, Tennessee's of the world, I think a couple of those are not going to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bobby G's right. Like Boise State's probably going to win the Mountain West again next year. And who would be a higher ranked group of 5 or however that works than them? Probably nobody.
Yeah, but it is always a crapshoot. Like with these teams, like there's always a James Madison, there's always a UNLV. Like there's just teams that kind of come out of nowhere.
Hey, could be.
There's always a Boise State.
There is always
every year
and
there is a Boise State.
It's typically Boise State.
Yeah. All right, how about this one? Buy or sell that Marcus Freeman will win a national championship at Notre Dame.
Sell.
I'm going to sell. This is the closest they'll ever get. I'll go ahead and say that too.
He's going to win a Super Bowl with the Dallas Cowboys.
Which, to be fair, this is pretty damn close. So, like, if this is the closest you get, like, that's not really a knock. But I just feel like this is a weird era in college football where some of the top teams, Michigan was down, Bama was down. Like this is kind of a time when someone could have snuck up there and got it.
Do you think it's more likely he wins one or Brian Kelly at LSU wins one?
Still probably him.
I agree. I think the same thing too.
Now, LSU is going to be damn good next year. I'm a little nervous about, but he literally Brian Kelly last year had Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, and they went like 8-4.
Yeah,
this is valid.
Which also random shout out to as you guys know, I've gotten a lot of like really heated DMs from people. Shout out to the Kentucky fan that said the best Neighbors is Malik. You're trash. And then I responded with he spells it with an E, have it with an O. And then he says, I don't give a bleep. Go F yourself, cats. So I was like, all right, well. So, yeah.
John, is it really a knock to be the second best Neighbors behind, a potential rookie of the year candidate and a guy who's going to likely make a ton of all pros as a receiver? He's going to make $300 million playing football. Is it that big of a knock?
No, I don't think so. Now it would be quite a question. Is John Neighbors or Mike Neighbors? Who's ahead in that regard?
Who's the best Razorback neighbor?
Yeah, who's the best Razorback Neighbors in that one? Or my dad has heard it forever, but also me at sometimes to the old group, Gomer Pyle, because his name is Jim Neighbors and it's spelled like mine. So yeah, for what it's worth, that's stupid. Anyways, going on to another good one here. How about this with Razorback basketball? Arkansas will beat a team that they are an underdog against in the SEC this season.
Bye,
because they're going to be underdogs in like damn near every game.
Are they an underdog tomorrow?
I would imagine so. I haven't checked.
They might be a slight favorite in that one, but
yeah, because usually the lines, like that's the thing about college basketball, the lines a lot of times don't come out until like
morning
the
of.
day of. Yeah. In this.
Oh, they might be. They actually might be a home with Boogie's situation. They might be a home dog.
Yeah. I mean, they literally they're going to be underdogs in, if not every single game, like 10 of these games upcoming. So it's like there's just going to be enough opportunities. They'll F around and win one.
Yeah, at this point, they'll be a road underdog at South Carolina, and that's a very winnable game. I
just think about that. Just saying that word, like it's something I just never would have dreamed. It's like, hey, by the way, Arkansas, before season started, you're going to be a home underdog to Georgia. It's like, ugh. Or they may even be, depending on how the Georgia game goes, they may be a home underdog to Oklahoma for crying out loud if things don't go right. But
that's scandalous, man.
Yeah. Buy or sell, going back to the college football, I should have asked this one before, but buy or sell that the Big Ten is officially the best conference in college football.
I'm selling it just a little bit. I do think the Big Ten, you could make an argument for this particular season. They had the best team, of course. But I still think the SEC has a higher floor. If you just go on down the SEC, there's 10 teams that are good and can beat other good teams. I don't think you can do that in the Big Ten. Hell, the third best team in the Big Ten was Indiana, who went 11-1 and had a good year. But do you think they would have done that in the SEC? I don't think so.
Sam Pittman would have beat Indiana this year.
It would have been close. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, it would have been close, and it would have been a game that Arkansas had to lead and then blew or whatever. It would have been something dumb, I'm sure.
I'm selling it, though. Yeah.
The SEC was undoubtedly this wasn't a peak banner year for the SEC. I think they were a little bit down, and the gap was definitely smaller. But I think just big picture, I definitely don't buy that the Big Ten has usurped them.
Yeah, and I'm give me another year. If it happens like that next year again, and then you got Ohio State, and then a Penn State or a Michigan or whoever that's really good, then maybe I'll start buying into it. But yeah, 1 year is just you can't do that. And these were also randomly submitted by a select group of individuals for us as individuals, for each one of us. So roll with it. Buy or sell that Curtis could hit 7 of 10 free throws right now.
Buy.
I'm buying it too. Could you hit 7 of 10?
You got to give him a warm up period. Give him time to prep. Give him a few days.
No. That's the thing. It's just like right now. If I threw a basketball to Curtis and right now he stands up, could he hit 7 of 10?
I'm 100% confident that I could hit 7 out of 10 free throws right now. In fact, we'll do it in Lexington, and we'll record it and we'll put it out there. I can do.
Mm-hmm. Who would it be more of an ego crushing blow to lose to in a free throw contest, me or Ellis? Like between the two of us, if you lost to one of us, who would be a bigger ego blow? Putting you on the spot.
Hear about it a lot more if it were me. I'll just say that.
That's kind of where I'm leaning right now, because like John would he'd smile and put it out there or whatever, but Andrew, it would be like unlimited. He would be like BBN, just
relentless,
just letting it fly nonstop for the rest of my life. I would rather lose to John than Andrew.
I would definitely be on like the next Pot at the Palace show and be like, well, Curtis, let me stop you right there. As a basketball guy who can make free throws, let me just say this.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, I know that I would do it where I'm like, this is not worth pissing Curtis off, so I'm not going to try to piss him off.
It's always worth it. Trust me. It's always worth it.
There it is. There's the opposite of like Andrew would be like, no, I'm going to. It's totally worth it. So,
100%.
So how about this? In this case for Andrew, buy or sell that Andrew could throw an 80-mile-an-hour fastball right now.
So
I don't think I could touch 80 right now. I think now this is another one where, like, if you gave me prep time, you gave me maybe a week or two to kind of long toss and get into shape, I could maybe like flirt with it, but I think I would probably be a crisp 72 right now.
The average human being, according to studies, can throw a baseball between 75 to 78 miles an hour.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that study.
That's what the study said. That's why I brought this up.
The study is full of shit. I think there's several people in this chat right now who would not touch 65, and I'm being dead serious.
I mean, I don't know what I could throw. Never even tested it, but I feel like 80 is a lot and very fast. So in your heyday, though, Andrew, could you throw 80?
So I touched 80 a few times, and I remember actually on my senior night, we had a radar at our park at Ash, and I remember it was like between the second and third innings or whatever, and I was like, this is the last time I'm ever really going to be on a mound with a radar gun. I was like, I'm just going to throw one as hard as I could, and it was 81. So I'll always tell people I throw 81. That's my line, because the last time that I was on a radar, I touched 81, and I'm gonna die that way.
Okay.
You know what would make me happy? Nothing would make me happier than having a catch with Andrew.
We do need to get the mitts out and just toss a little bit.
We do. It'd be fun.
I actually told Curtis a horror story of mine from last night.
I started to drop the name when you were talking about being on the mound, and I was like, oh, I'm not even gonna do that.
Michelle is apparently going to Denham Springs, Louisiana for work. And Curtis just texted me, Denham Springs. Didn't say anything else. Just said Denham Springs, which just so happens to be where I had like the worst moment of my life, the worst moment of my career. And so I was like, damn it, Curtis. Someone DM'd Curtis and was like, yo, that guy you're with, Andrew, he walked 7 dudes in Denham Springs. And I was like, I was really nervous. So I was like, where did you get that information? Why are you saying this? It was just because Michelle was going there, but I was sweating bullets last night.
Because I mean, I don't know what it is. I guess everyone's making trips to Louisiana. I go down there to Shreveport and this past weekend, and now Michelle's going down there. So yeah, the water, by the way, in Shreveport and Bossier City was undrinkable and unusable. Can you do it? Like they literally put out a thing where they're like, you can't drink, but yet some restaurants still served water, and like you couldn't get a Coke Zero or anything from the fountain. Like my buddy's Peasties went through the car wash, and his truck smelled like just cheeks. Like it smelled like the outside of it. It was weird. So anyways, watch for the water down there.
They're getting blizzarded right now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's snowing in New Orleans right now. It ain't never snowed in New Orleans like ever.
That's insane.
Mm.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, that water, I mean, I don't know what was going on in Shreveport, but the further south you get, the more swampy it gets a little. I remember when my family from Arkansas would come to Louisiana to visit, they were like, we can't even go to Sonic because the water is just that bad.
Yeah, it was pretty tough. So this one is for me, I guess. I don't want you guys' thoughts on it since, I've been getting a lot of heat, but it's buy or sell that John has ever been in an actual fist fight.
Sell.
I think you've been in some skirmishes, like some shoving and some pushing and some like hold me backs. But I don't know. Like, have you really thrown hands?
I mean, that's the question.
For some reason, why do I feel like you told me you haven't? I don't know. Maybe it was somebody else. Anyway, carry on.
So you both sell it?
I'm selling it.
I'll sell it, but I will also like want to hear your story of what the real fist fight would have been.
Okay. Well, and the chat says sell too. I knew that was going to happen like very quickly. It's actually true. I've never been in a fist fight in my life. Okay. So, then the reason that was brought to my attention is because of, the dangers that are being thrown my way, especially from Lexington, like saying, "Hey, you better come in there" and all that. And I was like, saying take on Matt Jones, where I was like, I've never been in a fist fight, to be honest, and I don't really want to be. It's not something I like to do, but yeah. The closest I've ever been though was actually at a bar on Dixon Street. I know it's shocking to hear, but I wanted to be the knight in shining armor, where a girl that I was friends with, but I wasn't like, she was so like above me. I had no chance at all to get her. But in my mind, I thought I did. And so she was getting a little harassed by this gentleman that he said some things I did not appreciate. And so I went up to him and I kind of gave him a shove. And that was it. That's as close as I got. So anyways, I'm glad. So you guys really know me. The chat really knows me. Everybody knows me. I did not been in a fist fight before.
John, I will be happy to be your get back guy in Lexington if we need that to happen.
Yeah, I'm going to be freaking what's his name? The Missouri coach that went after Mike Anderson.
Frank Haith.
Yeah, I'm going to be Frank Haith, just running into the back of Curtis, like being like, "You better get me back, man."
I will be the Ronnie Brewer Jr. to your Eric Musselman.
Are we a little concerned that we have now let the ops know that we don't have battle experience? Are we a little concerned that now the Kentucky fan base knows that we might be an easy target? But I will say, like, outside of random experiences, like, something weird happens, grown men should not be getting in fist fights unless they're like sanctioned. You know what I mean? Like, the hell are people fighting for?
No, they shouldn't. But you know what's crazy, guys? And let's just be honest about it. The time that they do always is involving around sports. Like alcohol is usually involved too.
Women.
Yeah, or women. But even though, like, you see, I mean, how many times have we seen fights in the stands of sporting events put on Barstool? It's like every day. So sports is what brings out the intensity and everything too. So, but yeah, that's buy or sell. And I don't know. Here's the thing. If you guys ever have in the chat or anything like that, if you want us to answer some buy or sells and you have some for us that we actually want to answer, like dumb ones like that, then just throw them our way. We can have some fun with it. A few chats, though, before we get out of here, because I know we're about to wrap up shop. Appreciate everybody listening and watching in here on the show. Let's see. Ryan Bryant says, John's over under 5 of 10 from the free throw. I'm taking the under. Come on, man.
Dang.
Like, I mean, if there is something I'm good at in basketball, it's doing something without having to jump. So I feel like free throws, I could maybe do okay in, but probably not much else. That's about it. But you got to put at least 5.5. Give me 5.5 on that.
I mean, I would just point out though that like there's a lot of like collegiate basketball, hell, even NBA players that don't make 7 of 10, and they shoot free throws literally every day. They practice it. So I feel like there's a lot of people that are very confident. And I'm like, I don't know if, like in the chat that like think 5 of 10, not being able to make 5 of 10 is like really shameful. I don't know if it's that shameful, especially with no practice.
Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you
get the rhythm, because that's the thing about free throws. If you're sitting there shooting free throws for 20 minutes, you'll eventually kind of get the rhythm, get the depth perception, and kind of, you'll probably be able to rattle off a few. But like cold turkey, I'm not super confident I would make 5 of 10.
No. I mean, I think I could make, if I had to put a guarantee, I can make 3 guaranteed at least. But after that, it's just icing on the cake. It's just bonus. Ryan wants to know who's going to stand back to bail him out if it gets rowdy. Oh, I completely misread your message. I thought you were saying who's going to take care of Rowdy, my dog, if like I get killed. Sorry. But no, I don't know who's going to stand back to bail us out if it gets rowdy.
Maybe Rowdy will be bailing us out. Who knows?
Yeah, might be. Have to come to Lexington for that. Also, Curtis, I just want you to confirm or deny this. Michelle says, I'm I mean, I'm a great driver, New York grown and everything. Can you confirm?
She is a very good driver, a very slow driver. And I think the reason why is because it's just impossible to drive fast in New York. Like, it's chaotic and everything, but there's so much traffic, you just can't pick up any speed. So it seems to me like she gets a little skittish. Like when you got to touch a 6 on the radar, she's just like, I don't know. So if there's ever any urgency, I definitely need to be the one driving, but she's very safe. She does a good job. She uses her signals well. It's good at parallel parking. So
she knows the difference between the white line that's like a solid white line and the white line that's like the separated one. She knows those things.
Yeah, she gets it.
She says that's not actually true. So
she is a slow driver. I tried to sandwich that as much as I could with all the great things that she does as a driver, and just the best human being I've ever met. She drives slow as hell, man.
Just methodical. She's a methodical driver.
Yeah,
is the way it needs to be. Witty, you got to relax. I'm not pulling up that chat, but you got to relax, my man. Holy crap.
He ain't lying.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Goodness.
Ryan also says Inside Arkansas Rhoback gear giveaway. We might be doing something like that, but I've been teasing it, and I'm just gonna tell you right now, a lot of you have been asking about apparel and stuff. We're gonna have some of that here very soon, like within the next week, and give you some more details on that. So because we appreciate y'all support, and it's a great way to help support us, is getting in on some of our merchandise. We'll have stuff for Inside Arkansas, but as well as Pot at the Palace and Bombastic all together. So just be on the lookout for that, and we'll make it happen. So, all right, guys, I don't think I have anything else here. Oh, yeah. Well, sorry. One real quick thing. This is more for Andrew, because Andrew, I know you're a big movie guy. You've been tweeting out about being at movies and whatnot. What do you make of Cinemark, who hosts a bring your own popcorn bucket, where you can bring any sort of container that gets filled with popcorn, and it's just $5? Your thoughts?
I like it. I actually saw Robbie Fox from Barstool, who was like, he had a picture of him working at a movie theater, and he was like, it's a cool idea, but he's like, it absolutely sucks for the movie theater workers who just have to take these weird containers and do whatever they got to do, and it's $5. I mean, I'm all for it. I mean, I'm cool with it. But I got to say, as an avid moviegoer, I really like the themed popcorn buckets. Obviously, they cost money. It's like ends up being like $15 if you're going to get like one of the souvenir ones. But like, I like that. I'm okay. I'm all for whenever there's like a cool one, like a themed popcorn bucket.
Like the ones that look like a fleshlight for
yes.
What was that movie?
That was Dune, I believe.
Dune. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Because I'm a big popcorn. Do you guys do the do it yourself butter? You got
to put the straw in there.
Yes.
And then yeah. No, I'm all for all that.
I have never had my mind blown in my life like when I found out, or when I first saw the straw trick. Like, it was magical, and it was just this this older woman who had like 8 kids, and I'm like, what is she doing putting a straw in there? And then she pours the butter through the straw, and it gets into the bottom of I'm like, how did I not think of such a thing?
Yeah, kind of lift the straw up slowly.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
It's great.
It just reminds me too much of the QT walking taco thing. I don't think I can get there, man.
No. Every time I see anything about a walking taco, a quick
brilliant idea, but
I immediately want to throw up. Like, that is just disgusting. So anyways, yeah, I think that's about it for me. Any final thoughts, guys, before we roll out of here?
No, not really. There's a basketball game tomorrow for those that care, but we're going to talk about it a lot. So tune in for that, and tune in for Bombastic. If you're not already, what's wrong with you? Because we see all the time thank God baseball is coming. Oh, I can't wait for baseball season. I mean, every damn day, Andrew's coming with a new episode. So if you're not checking it out, seriously, do that, because he's not going to answer your questions if you ask here.
No, I will answer questions. And I want to go do a little promo. Friday, baseball starts practice. When I say starts practice, they have their first official scrimmage of the spring in mid-January. But after that, I'm going to be going live for the first live chat episode of the Bombastic for the 2025 year. So I'll answer questions then. And if not, if you're wondering about stuff, again, check the playlist, but we'll have another episode today. Really looking forward to it.
You say they have a scrimmage Friday?
They do. It's going to be cold as balls, but they're going to do it.
Hopefully it's later in the afternoon. At least it gets to a high of 41.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was just like, geez, the way it's feeling out right now, it sounds awful. But Yeah, should be great though. It's gonna be a big weekend. You got Razorback baseball scrimmage. You got the big gymnastics meet that everyone's talking about. I'm actually going to that, by the way. Just want to check it out and see. So you got that Razorback basketball. So should be I'm sure, a very successful Razorback weekend because those happen often. But either way, appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in here to Inside Arkansas Live. Be sure to subscribe to us here on YouTube at Inside Arkansas. Check out all of our social media at Inside Arkansas. And of course, follow our podcast wherever podcasts are found, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, the Bombastic Podcast, Pod at the Palace. It's all there for you, as well as checking out our website, InsideArkansas.com, for all the latest and greatest up-to-date information on all things Razorbacks. And we'll keep it going from there. So for Andrew Ellis, as well as Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you then.